What's up everyone, welcome to another video. We've got here a VE. Started out life as an Omega, was previously a Brad Kimberley car, has actually been full 6 litre converted. So I believe it's L98, but for whatever reason they had to use Series 2. I don't know, there was some sort of story.
Because it's a late car.
Yeah, so it's a Series 2 Omega. So they had to use like Series 2 operating software and ECU and everything else, but it is L98. So yeah, plus 6L80. So L98 6L80 car now that's been converted from an Omega, and we have been tasked to tune it. So it's just got an exhaust and an OTR. Outside of that, as far as we're aware, it's a completely stock engine, stock converter, everything else is completely stock. So be interesting to see what this thing makes. Basically, it's a completely stock 6 litre with just OTR and an exhaust. So we don't often really get to see that. We don't often really get to see how much power just those modifications make, because we're always doing other modifications with them. So, you know, we sort of know where a stock one with a stock intake and stock exhaust should be sitting. So we should be able to get a pretty good feel of what this thing, you know, is going to make. So it's got all orange interior. I believe it used to have different colored wheels, but they're black now and it actually looks quite respectable. So yeehaw, let's see what it makes. Right, a few more dramas with this thing. We have had a few issues with this just because it is a converted car. There is a lot of things that are changed, different wiring that should be there that's not there. One of the biggest issues we've had is there appears to be an internal issue with the fuse and relay box, which is affecting the fan control circuit. So Rex has actually had to wire the fans externally as a temporary fix for now, because we don't have a new fuse box or anything to put in this thing, and we don't really have the time to be chasing those sorts of issues right down to the wire. So we've got that working so that the fan control relay circuit is you know, working so we can tune the car. Rex started getting into the tune, but the coolant temp sensor was doing some weird stuff, and we pulled it out and found that the actual plastic housing for the 2 pins was missing, and the 2 pins were sort of just floating around inside the plug, and obviously able to touch and short each other out, and that's what was causing some issues. So it was meant to be flex fuel tuned as well, but there was a section of loom that was used in the car for the conversion, which came out of a Club Sport, I think the owner ended up telling us, and the Club Sports obviously didn't come factory flex fueled. So the Series 2 SSs came factory flex fueled, but the Club Sports did not, and we believe that that section of loom that's been used is missing the wires that are required for the sensor to actually work and for the ECU to see the sensor. So no flex fuel, it's only getting single field tuned. Again, we sort of don't have the time to chase those issues. So it was only meant to be here for a tune, and given recent events with me breaking my back and stuff like that, we're just behind on work and we can't afford to be chasing these issues for that long. So single field tuned for now so that it's still usable and drivable. A few temporary fixes to get us through this tune. And yeah, see what this thing spits out.
You can see, like it's temporary, but it's basically, it's exactly the same as a factory setup. 2 normal relays and a changeover so that the high and low speed and everything works. Like, it works exactly as per factory. It's just that we've had to wire it to external relays. What
Rex found was there's obviously some issues with the internal routing of connecting the relays and fuses in the fuse box.
So essentially, yeah, that's supposed to be the fuse there, and that's supposed to supply the ignition power for those all 3 relays, and then obviously the ECU is low side switched. But what I found is no continuity between the fuse and there. And the other day I managed to I just ran these 3 wires to those pins, put the relays in, and it worked fine. But whatever's broken inside here, just moving the car around, because it was worked fine the other day, but then yeah, like Max said yesterday, I was like, well, why aren't the fans working now? And it kept blowing the fuses, and we've found that there's now continuity to earth off the ignition pins. So there's something in there that's moved and has shorted it out, so the way I try to do it isn't going to work, so it has to be this way for now.
Anyway, like Rick said, it all works as factory and it's all working at the moment, but as you can see, it's not a super nice, you know, it's as neat as we can make it, but it really needs a new fuse and relay box. Needs that to be replaced to fix the issue. Rightio, boys and girls, all sorted in the end. 350 at the wheels. Sounds pretty right for a stock engine with just these bolt-on mods and an auto. That seems to be about right. It's about what we expected it to be. So, yeah, happy days. The tune that was in it was pretty wild. There was a lot of knock, a lot of timing, and still only made 350 horsepower. Rex pulled 3 degrees out of it everywhere, and it made the same power. So, much happier car leaving, but that's what we ended up with. 352 with the auto and these couple of supporting mods. So that's this thing. Rex has just got to go now and do the gearbox tune on the street, make sure it's driving well on the street like it should be from factory, and then this thing can go to its owner. Happy days.
So it's considering the little issues that it had, that was relatively painless, and the fans are working fine. It's not getting hot or doing anything silly now that coolant temp sensor's working. So yeah, I was wondering, I noticed that when I first started it was getting weird jumps. I didn't really think much of it, but then when I started it, and yeah, it was like going from 88 to 95 and just jumping around heaps, and I was like, well, that's not right.
Wrong.
So yeah, at least his check engine light's not on now, so like at least we fixed all of the codes that it was really upset about. So there's just some stuff that he can sort out later if he wants to.
And then maybe he can head over to ospwarehouse.com and get himself a complete cam kit with everything he needs to cam the big rig. Cam it up.